All right. Get some of that dual Destinies going. Health warning. Sensitivity warning. Capcom warning. Autosave warning. Okay. All right. Middle of trial, day 2, cross-examining Cosmos. Now, speaking of losing consciousness, if you recall last time, we ended a little bit early because I was completely losing all focus. Do I get history showing what we had? Yeah. We'll take a little bit back of history to recover where we were. Okay. Alright, so... if I can remember how anyone talked. Cosmos. Oh, are we connected? Yeah, we were still in the control room to the east when the figure fired at us. Hold it. So, in other words, you were fired at while you were at the control room door. That is correct. Doesn't seem right. There's something not quite right about that. Director Cosmos, the bullet this person fired hit you, isn't that right? Yes, it was a miracle. A miracle befitting a great history-making figure such as myself. The bullet the figure fired hit me while I was in the control room. But as the Cosmos would have it, the bullet bounced off my glorious Medal of Honor. In that case, the bullet should have wound up somewhere around the control room door. Okay, so Director Cosmos was in the control room to the east, and while he was there, he was shot at by someone with a 10 caliber gun. But the bullet hit his medal, so he was able to escape with his life. He's a very lucky man. No wonder people think he's great. Hey, I'm pretty lucky myself, so if he's a great man, then I'm king of all the cosmos. Okay, so Director Cosmos was in the control room to the east. Well, heck, that's just the same thing over again twice, alright. Was I trying to present something at that time? Hold on, no, not press. I go back to history, and that was... You're still in control of the east when the figure fired at us. Okay, so that was... Okay, alright, okay. So the question is, if you're still in the control room, nobody can see you. How are they shooting at you, and how is the bullet there? No, really, how do they see you? How do they see you? Do I get... one information about that window? Yeah, there's no windows. There's no way they could see you. Where are you seeing this? And how? I'm gonna present this. I don't think it works, but it's like, how? Really?
Objection!
Yeah, that won't work. This piece of evidence makes it clear that there is a contradiction in the witness's testimony. Oh, I'm afraid I just don't see it. Not even with your sharp and discerning eye, Your Honor? I'm afraid not, but you claim to see it? Well, not really, Your Honor. I thought maybe you would. Mr. Wright. Uh-oh. Now the judge is mad at me. Maybe I'd better take another look at the evidence. Right. Still in the control room to the east where the figure fired at us. I may just have to repress this again because I need to recover my context. Alright, Detective Arm and I rushed to the control room together.
Hold it!
We've already heard all about that part. Don't you have any new information? Well, let me see. If you have an hour or two, I could tell you all about the Hat One miracle.
Hold it!
We already know all about that, too. Tell us about something related to this incident. I see. You want to know about incidents. Well then, let me tell you about the many incidents that made me the man I am today. Yes, if you have the time, I will tell you all about the upbringing of this great man.
Hold it!
You've told us all about that already as well. What we need now is your testimony. Did I really already tell you all about my upbringing? I don't recall doing so. Director Cosmos, perhaps you could save your boastful tales for later. If I must. Well, we peeked in through the control room door. And in the lounge, we saw a figure standing in the middle of the room and Taryn on the floor.
Hold it!
But it was so dark you couldn't see this figure's face, isn't that right? Yes, the room was as deep and dark as outer space itself. Speaking of outer space, during the Hatwood launch 7 years ago... If it's about that Hat One miracle again, you can sawed off and tell it to a stray mutt. Ha ha ha! Excellent idea! No reason why the animal world shouldn't hear of my greatness. And so they shall. But first, your testimony. What happened next? We were still in the control room to the east when the figure fired at us.
Hold it!
So, in other words, you were fired at while you were at the control room door. That is correct. There's something not quite right about that. Director Cosmos, the bullet this person fired hit you, isn't that right? Yes, it was a miracle. A miracle befitting a great, history-making figure such as myself. The bullet the figure fired hit me while I was in the control room. But as the Cosmos would have it, the bullet bounced off my glorious Medal of Honor. In that case, the bullet should have wound up somewhere around the control room door. Okay, so Director Cosmos was in the control room to the east, and while he was there, he was shot at by someone with a 10 caliber gun. But the bullet hit his metal, so he was able to escape with his life. He's a very lucky man. No wonder people think he's great. Hey, I'm pretty lucky myself, so if he's a great man, then I'm king of all the cosmos. Okay, so no extra... Okay, so... I'll present the bullet then? Because the bullet was found elsewhere, and I should be able to say that?
Objection!
There we go. Director Cosmos, I believe you are telling this great court a glorious lie. A great man like me tell a lie? Have you ever heard of such a thing in all of history? My accusation is based on the positions of the people who were in the lounge. According to your testimony, you and Detective Arm were near the control room door, and the mystery figure was standing in the middle of the boarding lounge. If, as you say, the figure fired a gun at you from this position, then the bullet would have traveled in this direction. However, we found the 10 caliber bullet here. Oh! This trajectory and where the bullet was actually found contradict each other. Director Cosmos, where were you really when you were being shot at? Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the human merry-go-round.
Objection!
Don't tell me you've forgotten already. Didn't the witness himself just tell you the bullet hit his metal? Of this, there is no mistake.
Objection!
But in that case, the bullet should have been found near the east side of the room. Are you trying to say that you can explain this inconsistency? Of course. I didn't think so. What? Oh, great Director Cosmos. Yes? Is there something you'd like me to expound upon? You were in fact not in the control room to the east, were you? You were looking into the lounge from the door to the south, is that not right? What are you getting at? Is this not what you were trying to say, Phoenix? Use your own brain. Your head must have some other use than housing that bird's nest. Bird's nest? Why does everyone pick on my hair? Director Cosmos and the detective witnessed the scene from the southern door. The killer fired at them there, and that is why the bullet was found in the south. That makes some sense, actually. Again, is that not what we were trying to prove by showing the bullet? Also, the witness being at the southern door is rather favorable for the prosecution. I've got a bad feeling about this. How about it, Director? If you don't tell the truth this time... his handcuffs. You will become but rust by my sword. I relish the chance to cut down a great man. Alright, I'll tell the truth. Just put your sword away. You are correct. I, the great Yuri Cosmos, was looking into the room from the southern door. What? Well, that's the complete opposite of all the testimony he's given so far. Again, why are you so shocked by this? We presented the bullet as showing the fact of this. Bark, bark, bark. And now you have lost your possibility that the third person was in the room. I have? How? The director and the detective were near the southern door, meaning the killer couldn't have escaped through there. Oh. Oops. The western door required print recognition. The corridor beyond was filled with smoke. The only escape route left was the eastern control room door. And the only way to get through there was with Director Cosmos' fingerprints. In short, there would be no escape for any third person had there been one. My third person just disappeared. like in one of Trucy's magic tricks. Order. Order in the court. Director Cosmos, why did you tell such an outrageous lie? You were covering for the defendant. Isn't that right? Yes. It was all for the love of my men. If I said I was in the eastern control room, it would mean the culprit could have escaped through the southern door. It would have meant that there could have been a third person. All I wanted to do was protect Starbuck. I said I was in the control room to invent an escape route for a third person. What a convoluted lie. Was he really covering for the defendant? It looks like we've come to a conclusion that the defense's argument, the possibility of a third person, has crumbled. No. It's over. Yikes. The judge is about to hand down his verdict. Think, Phoenix, think. This is the perfect time to try and turn my thinking around. If a third person had no way of escaping the scene, then what if one of the people at the scene was this third person? Wait. What if the whole premise is all wrong? Director Cosmos said that he and Detective Arm rushed to the scene together. But what if that premise isn't true? What if one of them reached the scene before the other one? And if that person entered the lounge, then they would be the third person. The defendant is the only one who could have killed the victim and shot at the director. There doesn't appear to be any room for argument against these claims. I will now render my verdict.
Objection!
Please wait, Your Honor. There is still one possibility. Oh, this had better be good, Mr. Wright. There is one and only one person who could have escaped from the scene. And that person would be the first person who arrived on the scene. Then, upon entering the boarding lounge, the second person to arrive came via the southern door. That's where the first person fled from the room, using an escape route that was accessible only to them. Very well. Let's hear more about this theory. Who is this one person who could have escaped from the boarding lounge? Okay, hold on. Alright, so are you trying to present a theory in which, say, Candace Arm got there before Director Cosmos, scared off one of the guys, probably Starbuck, and then shot at Director Cosmos, being the third person? Who's the one person? Well, the one person who could have escaped from the boarding lounge is Starbuck. But does that answer the question you're saying? Oh, no. Okay, so, no. The other control room, sorry. The western door was fire and flames. Burned down. Stopped. Not allowed, right? In fact, I think that's actually in the, So it couldn't have been Starbuck. The only person who could have escaped from the lounge was the director himself. Through the control room door, which is why you could say he was there, because he may have actually gone there.
Take that!
What? But that's... Mr. Wright, what are you claiming here? Of all the people who were at the scene, only the witness could have escaped. The director is the only one with the authority to open the control room door after all. But that means... Exactly. The true identity of the third person is our current witness. Director Yuri Cosmos. Ah! What? What? Order. Order in the court, I say. Mr. Wright, you will explain yourself in more detail. I assert that Director Cosmos arrived at the scene before Detective Arm and entered the boarding lounge alone. Detective Arm arrived after that and saw a suspicious figure who was actually Director Cosmos standing in the lounge. And that's why she fired those 2 warning shots. Ah, I've been hit. I've been hit on the starboard side. Captain Wright, it's a direct hit on the enemy ship, sir. Magnificent shot. Warning shots fired from the enemy ship. Prepare to intercept. Cosmos, you've told a lie in this court once again. I've been hit! I've been hit on the port side! The enemy has called in reinforcements! Earth to Cosmos Control Center, requesting permission to ask that you return to reality. But my ship will not go down to anything less than the ultimate weapon of evidence.
Objection!
But I do have evidence. In fact, you could say that your battleship bears its scar. If Director Cosmos is the third person or a Blackwell saw, this third person fired at Detective Arm and Director Cosmos with their gun. And in return, the detective fired her warning shots. Isn't that how it really went down, Director Cosmos? Ha ha ha! It looks like you've deduced my miraculous tale of survival. Yes, you're absolutely correct. The mystery person fired upon us. Director Cosmos must have been the one who fired the 10-caliber gun. When Detective Arm discovered him in the lounge, it only makes sense that he would have turned and shot at her. Therefore, the evidence on the director's body is of a different kind of relevance than before. Once we compare it against another piece of evidence, the mark that you receive from the third party will be all the proof we need to prove that you were the one there in the lounge. Brace for further impact. Comparison against this piece of evidence will prove that you were the one in the lounge. That one? No. Wait a minute. Held a lighter with an earth emblem and a knife in their right. I don't think we have anything that shows that. Well, is it the lock? We can, like, can we check the logs of the lock? Is that what they're talking about? Oxygen tank. Security camera video. Prints. Hold on, yes. So if someone was shooting from the south door, they could have made that gun hole shot. Generally by shooting at the person. from the south wall to the north. And the bullet was found near the victim's oxygen tank. A boy fired from that direction. I'm gonna say it's this. It's probably not what it wants. But I'm gonna say it's this.
Take that!
No. And what would you like to say about that piece of evidence, Mr. Wright? I would like to say that, this is not it. Mr. Wright, please only present evidence you think is it. I guess that really wasn't it. But I am sure the third person was Director Cosmos. Comparison against this piece of evidence will prove that you were the one in the lounge. Okay, Well, I figure it has to be this, again, because we said that he was the only person who could operate it, and we're asserting that he went through it. So, logs from this?
Take that!
No. And what would you like to say about that piece of evidence, Mr. Wright? Huh? I would like to say that this is not it. Mr. Wright, please only present evidence that you think is it. I think it is it. I guess that really wasn't it. I'm sure the third person was Director Cosmos. I mean, would it be this? That doesn't make sense as a thing to show. But I mean, we...
Take that!
Back. I thought it was it! How would I not know? I know I don't necessarily have to save because they have quality of life when we come back to this scene, but... Stabbing. Oh, hold on. Right, if the guy died by stabbing, and the knife in his right hand, well, I heckin' don't know. Oh, I mean, you could check the bullet to see if it was, to see if it matches this. Is it the bullet? Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do what the internet calls cheating. By looking at the, the wiki.
Oh no.
Oh no. I'm so doomed. Prove that you were the one in the lounge, heck. If only. Okay, this is not helpful. This is not even bark. Okay, where? Oh. Okay, alright, so... Specifically that this is the bullet from Arm's gun is apparently the important thing.
Take that!
Because that means she would have been shooting at him. The .38 caliber bullet found on the floor at the scene didn't hit the oxygen tank. It hit Director Cosmos' metal. If we have that ricochet mark on the metal analyzed, I'm sure the caliber will match up. And if that mark proves to be from a .38 caliber bullet, it will prove that you're the third person we've been looking for. Ah, the bridge destroyed. Losing altitude. All hands abandon ship. If that's true, then what about the bullet that hit the oxygen tank? It was the 10 caliber bullet. In other words, it was the bullet fired by Yuri Cosmos. Isn't that right, Director? No, you've got it all wrong. What? The engines have started again? It's a miracle. I'm not going down yet. Witness, stop this at once and confess the truth. If you don't want the history books to say that a great man was a great liar, then accept your fate and tell the truth. Are you giving me orders? Me, the great director of the Cosmos Space Center? But the cosmos revolves around me. Okay. Someone get me off this thing. Order in the court. And will someone please stop the witness from spinning? Phew. Thank goodness we're able to stop him from spinning off the face of the earth. While he was twirling, I took the liberty of running an analysis on the mark on the metal. It was made by a .38 caliber bullet, matching it with the size of Detective Arm's firearm. Are you ready to confess the truth, witness? No, you've got it all wrong. This is just a misunderstanding. Is he going to start piling on more lies? It looks like it. But no matter how many lies he tells, I'll just expose them, one by one. I'll make that big liar tell the truth. Yes. To be continued. But now, because we have time. And apparently I'm still awake and functioning. All right. What Cosmos actually saw. Yes. Director Cosmos, a new possibility has been presented by the defense. They're claiming that you were this third person. Forgive me. I'm so sorry. So the great pioneer of space development is revealed to be just on a fabulous curve. I only have one question for the likes of you. Shall I send you off quickly or very quickly? The evidence doesn't lie, Director Cosmos, so don't try to talk your way out of this. Fine. I'll tell the truth. It's all just as you say, Mr. Wright. It's true that I was there in the boarding lounge. I got there before Detective Arm, and when she arrived, she fired warning shots at me. I was afraid people would mistake me for the killer, so I escaped to the control room. I then went past the elevators and all the way around to boarding lounge 1 again. I came up behind Detective Arm and pretended to be the second on the scene. What a troublesome old man you are with such convoluted deeds and thoughts. I see. So then, are you still insisting that you did not kill the victim? Of course I am. When I arrived in the lounge alone, I saw the true killer. The great Yuri Cosmos was a history-making witness.
Hold it!
Now hold on just one moment. We just proved a few minutes ago that the third person that Mr. Starbuck and Miss Aura Blackwell saw was you. No, it wasn't me. I saw the person as well. If I were the killer, why would I lie to cover for Starbuck? I would just leave him to take the fall. That is an excellent point. All I wanted to do was protect Starbuck. I said I was in the control room to invent an escape route for a third person. Well, it makes some sense if you told those lies to cover Miss Starbuck. Still, a lie's a lie, Athena. So Director Cosmos claims he's not the culprit. But where's the proof? Ah, I just remembered. I have an alibi. Ms. Blackwell said she saw the killer at 10 a.m., correct? Yes, and? Well, I was on the 4th floor, helping with the evacuation effort. Ask any member of the staff you like. They'll cooperate me. The director is not fibbing to the court for once. I confirm that he has an alibi for the time specified. So, you're claiming that Ms. Blackwell saw the killer commit the crime first at 10 a.m. and that you arrived at the lounge after that. Yes, and I believe the person I saw is the same person that Ms. Blackwell saw. Although it was pitch black, so it was more of a shadowy figure and less of a person. And I couldn't actually see their face, but it was definitely the silhouette of an Earthling. As long as he has an alibi, we can't very well claim Director Cosmos was a killer. No, we can't. Then again, maybe we don't need to yet. I wonder if he was really covering for Mr. Starbuck. Your Honor, the defense moves to have the director testify about the person he saw. Very well. Director Cosmos, your testimony, please. Witness testimony. What I really witnessed. As I tried to enter the lounge, the true killer inside fired a gun at me. I hid to avoid getting shot. But when I tried to get another look, they had vanished into thin air. I was near the elevator side door and, well, the Launchpad 1 door. And the control room door should have been shut tight to the killer. So you were shot at by the killer as well, and then they disappeared. Yes, though luckily no harm came to my glorious body. Unfortunately, the bullet hit Terran's oxygen tank. I know because I heard a bang. That must have been the sound of the tank being ruptured. Wait, but I thought the bullet hit his metal. That was Detective Arm's bullet, remember? Right. What a mess this is turning into. So, let's see. Director Cosmos is claiming that when he found Mr. Terran and his killer, the culprit shot a 10 caliber bullet at him. Right, but it actually hit Mr. Terran's oxygen tank and ruptured it. And then, the killer disappeared, and the director went in the boarding lounge. When Detective Arm caught up and fired those warning shots at him. Judging by his meds, it looks like one of them almost took him out, too. Warning shots, yeah. Good summary, but that doesn't explain where our mystery killer went. Director Cosmos, I was wondering if you could elaborate on when the figure disappeared. I'm ashamed to admit I tried to hide myself when I was shot at, but when I peeped back into the lounge, the real killer was gone. I rushed into the lounge straight away to investigate, but what I found was Terran with a knife in his chest and Starbuck out cold on the floor. So I have a culprit who vanished from a scene that had no escape route. Vanished without a trace. It's truly like one of the great mysteries of the cosmos.
Silence!
A riddle of the ages indeed, but I'd rather know how a fibbing leech such as you can be lauded as great. A great man is always misunderstood in his own time, but he must remain true to himself, even if those around him don't understand. Wow, that might be the first true statement he said all day. But how do you suppose this person managed to vanish so suddenly? Simple, because it was Spaceboy himself. When he was spotted by the director and Aura, he quickly feigned unconsciousness. That would certainly take all the mystery out of the idea of a vanishing culprit. I want to raise an objection, but I don't have any counter-evidence. Director Cosmos, when you saw this person, did you also see Mr. Starbuck on the floor? No, because it was as dark as a black hole in there. I didn't see Starbuck until the other person vanished and I entered the room. That wasn't exactly helpful. I'm prepared to accept your surrender, right, Dono? I can't find any holes in this testimony, but I can't give up. Mr. Wright, why don't you let me help? Huh? While the director was giving his testimony, I detected a cacophony in Discord. Which means he's hiding his true feelings from us, huh? This just might help us find out what happened to our vanished killer. That'd be great, Athena. Let's see what you can do with him. You got it, boss. I wouldn't want to miss this chance to delve into a great mind. Yuri Cosmos, prepare to hand over the secrets of your heart to me. As I try to enter the lounge, the true killer inside fired a gun at me. These are all normal emotions. Oink! Cookheads! Hey, howdy. Welcome in. Thank you for bringing the people. Oink! Oh, heck. Woo! Alright, thank you for the raid. For all y'all don't know me, I'm Musky. I play pretty games and pixel games and Mario Maker 2. Right now we've been playing some Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Dual Destinies. We also had some Geometry Dash earlier. Hoo boy! If any of that sounds interesting, just, stick around. Anyway. I'm so late, we're also in the middle of a case, so yeah. Yeah, we just, we're not even halfway into this, stream tonight, so, well, we're a little bit halfway. It's fine, we're here for a whole hour still, or more. The true killer inside fired a gun at me. I hid to avoid getting shot. Did you? Hold on. Okay. But when I tried to get another look, they had vanished into thin air. Why are you not surprised at that? I was near the elevator side door. And, well, the Launchpad 1 door. Why does that make you sad? And the control room door should have been shut tight to keep the killer. Why does this door make you sad? Explain.
Got it!
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you seem to be afraid of the launchpad door. The great Yuri Cosmos? Afraid? And what basis do you have for that outlandish accusation? Whether I have any basis or not, you seem quite distressed by it. I'm most certainly not. Director Cosmos, there's something about the launchpad door you're not telling us, isn't there? Yeah. Wow, he's speechless. Looks like you hit the nail on the head, boss. It's working, boss. One more punch and he'll be a knockout. There seems to be one more motion set at odds with his testimony. Go get him. Okay, back in the Matrix it is. Time to pinpoint our way to victory. As I tried to enter the lounge, the true killer inside fired a gun at me. Again, all these emotions are normal for that. I hid to avoid getting shot. Yes. But when I tried to get another look, they had vanished into thin air. Why are you not surprised? I was near the elevator side door. And, well, the Launchpad 1 door. And the control room door should have been shut tight to the killer. I like that should have. See if I can pinpoint his lack of surprise.
Got it!
You must have thought it was very strange that the killer vanished into thin air. I did. That kind of thing just doesn't happen, usually. And yet, at that time, you barely registered any shock at the occurrence. What? Why? Yeah. I can only think of one reason as to why you weren't surprised by the killer's vanishing act. You must have had a good idea of where they went, isn't that right? What? No, of course not. That's preposterous. Only I can enter the control room. And the area beyond the launchpad door was filled with smoke, making it impassable. We all know human beings are incapable of moving through smoke. It is a solid substance. And as for the southern door, I was standing right there. So there was nowhere for the killer to run to. Maybe, or maybe not. You went into the room to check on Mr. Starbuck and Mr. Terran, yes? What if the culprit took that opportunity to silently slip out through the southern door? I highly doubt it. As you recall, right after I entered the lounge, Detective Arm came rushing towards it herself via the southern hallway. Anyone trying to escape through there would have been caught by her. And yet the director wasn't surprised the killer vanished. So, you're absolutely sure there was no escape route for the culprit to use? I'll just input those two pieces of data and, yes, just what I want to see. Presto change-up, let's Discord. Looks like we're on the right track. Thanks, Athena. Now to make sense of what we've learned. Director Cosmos wasn't surprised that the culprit suddenly vanished from the lounge, which points to the possibility that he knew where the killer had escaped to. Furthermore, talking about the door to the launchpad made him uneasy. In other words, he's probably hiding something about the launchpad 1 door. When we put these two pieces together, only one solution to this puzzle comes to mind. Director Cosmos, did the real killer escape through here? The heckin' door?
Take that!
The culprit went to the Launchpad 1 door to escape, didn't they? Yes. I mean, no. Disaster to starboard. We're going to crash into an asteroid. Master Technician, you are not. But the air behind that door was filled with smoke, wasn't it? True, but this is still the only logical answer there is. If we can just figure out what the director is hiding about the Launchpad 1 door, we should be able to iron out the logical inconsistencies. But that door requires fingerprint recognition. Only Starbuck, Taryn, and I have access. I don't see how the killer could have opened that security lock. Do you? Do we? Starbuck's printer found the scanner after the incident. Print recognition attempts are recorded via a security camera equipped with backup power. Oh. That's an easy one. The killer was right there in the boarding lounge, meaning there's a way he could have easily gotten past that security lock. Come to think of it, we did examine the prints on the fingerprint recognition device. I propose that the killer use this person's fingerprints to get back past the security lock. Okay, now we just said it was Starbuck whose prints were on it, so yeah.
Take that!
That's... Mr. Starbuck was lying unconscious there in the boarding lounge. Anybody could have easily gotten past the security lock by using Mr. Starbuck's prints. And actually, Mr. Starbuck's prints are exactly what we found on the device's screen. Ah! It looks like he does have something to hide about the Launchpad 1 door. And I'm betting it's got something to do with the culprit's escape route. But I don't have enough information to see the whole picture yet. You know, something just occurred to me. Would you like to hear it? Huh? Oh, yes, by all means. There's a security camera in boarding lounge 1, right? Right, the one that recorded the victim and the defendant. What about it, Your Honor? If the true culprit escaped into the Launchpad 1 corridor, then that might be recorded on the security footage as well. Then the mystery would be solved. What do you think of my logic? I hope you didn't strain your faculties too much for that, your baldness. I beg your pardon. Look, if we play the security footage beyond this point... Oh, my, the footage cuts off. The camera was running on backup power, but apparently the power cables were damaged. Most likely by the after effects of the explosion. There is no footage after this, be it of criminals or space aliens. And I thought it was such a good idea, too. Just because your grandchild is watching from the gallery doesn't mean you should try to show off too much. Grandpa baldness. Huh? Prosecutor Blackwell, how did you know about my grandchild? I think his grandchild just learned a little about the harshness of the adult world. Setting aside the issue of grandchildren, I'd like to have the witness continue. Director Cosmos, could you tell us more about when you entered the lounge? If I must. I hid to avoid getting shot. Wait. Just tell us more when we get into okay. After the killer vanished, I went into the lounge. Info update. But that's when Detective Arm appeared from the elevator side door. And then the detective shot at me. So you see, the killer could have only escaped to the launch pad, right? Okay, hold on. These emotions are all weird now. Okay. You need to avoid getting shot. Sure. Distress, I see that. Killer vanished. You went into the lounge. Still distressed, I can see that too. Why are you surprised that Detective Arm appeared when she just came with you? Like, she was just behind you.
Got it.
I don't know. Director Cosmos, why were you so surprised when Detective Arm found you? And again, when she fired. Isn't that a bit unnatural? Okay, it's not unnatural for him to be surprised that she shot him. You can always be surprised that someone has shot you. That is not what we're talking about. The fact that she entered the room when he already testified they were coming up together, that's what I'm talking about. Not the fact that she... Back. Sadly, even great men, such as myself, have ordinary human feelings. Our bodies are bound by the forces of gravity and emotions. Even a great man, such as myself, experiences surprise on occasion. Yes, I'm sure you do. But my real point is not the fact that you were surprised, but rather what you were surprised by. Pardon me? First, you were surprised when Detective Arm found you in the lounge. And, just after that, you were, of course, again surprised when she shot at you. But, considering what you were surprised about, a strange phenomenon occurs here. Director Cosmos, what is strange about your surprised reaction is the fact that you were more surprised when Arm came. Being surprised twice would be, well... Okay, I'm not going to point to this, but surprised twice. Surprised that she came in, surprised that she shot him. But you were, more surprised that she was there in the first place. Which, again, considering all the this is what I was saying before. Considering all the testimony that they were coming up here together. Surely you were surprised when Detective Arm shot at you. But the surprise you felt when she found you in the lounge was much greater. The fact that you were more surprised by simply being found than by being shot at suggests to me that you were conflicted about whatever it was you were doing there. The enemy has acquired a new weapon. Commence operation. Hide under your desk. Please tell me I finally sunk his battleship. Oh, he's level 30%, okay? Boss, I'm getting less Discord now. That must mean he really is hiding something about that launch pad door. And whatever he's hiding most likely has something to do with the killer's escape. I wonder what it could be. If he was doing something suspicious around that door, maybe we can spot some change between before he came to the room and after. Like, if he was doing something suspicious at the door, change between before he came to the room and after? Wait, the killer's escape, or we... Too many pronouns here, and not enough nouns. Detective Fulbright gave us a photo taken after the crime. Let's run a comparison. Let's see. Here's footage of the door before Director Cosmos arrived. And this is how the door looked after the director entered the lounge. Hey, look at that. There is a change. Something's definitely different. Doors closed? Director Cosmos. What is it? What have you two been up to over there? Finding the answer to what you were doing when Detective Arm found you, that's what. And that answer lies clearly in this footage. All we have to do is compare it to the photo that was taken during the investigation. Don't be ridiculous. If you really do have an answer, you would have pointed it out already. He's asking for it. This is what changed directly after the incident. It's different from after the incident. Oh, this changed!
Take that!
He was pointed up after. The answer is this knob. Ah, that's... Your Honor, please take a look at this footage. Let's see. Take a look at the knob next to the launch pad door. As you can see, it's horizontal. Yes, it is, isn't it? However, when we investigated the scene of the crime yesterday, the knob was vertical. And what does that mean? It means that sometime between before the director arrived and after, someone turned this knob. After the scene was discovered, you were the only one who could have turned the knob. Come on now, Director Cosmos, let's hear what you have to say. What were you trying to do by turning that knob by the door? Fine. I admit it. You're right. I did turn that knob. That knob is a safety lock, meant to keep the launch pad in place. I was afraid there would be more explosions, so I wanted to move the launch pad away. You wanted to do what? Hey, didn't Ponko tell someone about how they prepare for launch? She said that once the launch pad's fully assembled, it's moved to the launch site. But safety lock in the boarding lounge has to be disengaged first. I guess that clears up what that knob is for. Oh, so if Killer escaped in the Launchpad 1 corridor, maybe they were transported along with the launch pad to the launch site. I don't think so. The Launchpad 1 corridor was filled with smoke, which, as we know, humans are completely incapable of walking through. I don't think they could have escaped through that corridor. So, where did the killer escape to? I guess there are still some things we have to uncover. Director Cosmos, I request that you tell us about moving the launch pad in more detail. Fine, but listen carefully, for I'm about to give history-making testimony. I had no choice but to disengage the safety lock. Why is he happy about that? I feared there might be more explosions, so I had to cut the launch pad loose. Surely the only escape the killer had was through launch pad 1. So he's angry about that. Info update. But that area was a sea of smoke. Confound it! Where on earth could they have gone? Okay, why are you happy?
Got it!
I had no choice but to disengage the safety lock. You make it sound like you were reluctant to do so. And yet, when you did it, you felt some joy, as if you were very pleased with yourself. How do you do it? How do you know everything as if you were there? Pretty impressive, isn't it? This is the power of analytical psychology. So, care to explain why you felt joy when you disengaged the safety lock? When I think back on the facts we've discovered up to this point, I have to believe that you are trying to fulfill some hidden agenda. How do you know about that, too? Because I'm more or less a pro at guessing. But you have no proof that I had a hidden agenda. And even if I did, I would never, ever tell you. So there. I know they say people regress as they grow older, but You, sir, take the cake. And how could you doubt a man with such great intensity, intelligence, and integrity?
Silence!
You, a man of integrity. Don't make me laugh. Prosecutor Blackwell. What came over him all of a sudden? I mean, Cosmos has not shown himself to be a man of integrity, and Blackwell likes being snide about that sort of thing. You shouldn't be surprised, Phoenix. You've spouted nothing but falsity since you stepped up to the stand. You're not the kind of man that will be glorified in the annals of history. Not for greatness, anyway. Unless you consider greatest barefaced liar an honor. Liar? No, his words bite harder than his blade. You moved Launchpad 1 after the explosions. My, how naive you are. You fail to realize how even the facts themselves have betrayed you. You know, just a thought, but modern English can be your friend. And here's a thought for you. Immediately following the bombing, Launchpad 1 was on the boarding lounge one side. The police confirmed this on scene. What? Liar? So that means the director didn't move the launch pad? Curse my judgment for calling history's greatest liar to the witness stand. Let us leave him to indulge in his lies and war games to his heart's content. Liar?
Objection!
But it doesn't make sense. You can't deny that someone turned that knob. And once the safety lock was released, I'm sure the pad must have went somewhere. I mean, there was only a fire burning up the whole thing, and that wouldn't have any effect on any of the mechanisms that might make it work. If we chase down the truth of this issue, we just might find where the killer escaped to. Ah! You're sure it must have went somewhere. We just might find out. Your arguments are nothing but conjecture, bluffing, and wishful thinking. Stop chasing your fantasies and see reality for what it really is. Or are you not man enough to, boy? Ah! Talking about hidden below the bell. Young'uns these days. I don't understand it. I'm sure Director Cosmos must have moved the launch pad. The knob was definitely turned after he came to the lounge. But the launch pad is right where it's supposed to be. Ah. Wait a minute. Maybe I have it all backwards. What if the director turned the knob not to move the launch pad away, but to bring it back to where it was supposed to be? What are you blathering about? What if the launch pad was at the launch site before the incident? And then, after the incident, Director Cosmos moved it back to its usual spot. All he had to do was turn the knob to call the launch pad back. And it would be right where the police found it. Okay, now see, this is an enormous course of action which would absolutely be on lots of video cams, because they were doing a launch. So people would be outside shooting this, and yeah. You made him sound like Mr. Starbuck. Was what I said really that off base? It pains me to have to explain how wrong your own logic is to you. However, our great liar turned the knob only after he discovered the crime scene. Indeed, the pad existed beyond the lounge when our Astro Wonders made their escape. A fact that has been recorded for posterity on filmless film. Alright. So to reiterate, stop chasing your fantasies, see reality for what it really is. Boy. Ah. Get a grip, Mr. Right, and focus. We know the launch pad must have been moved. But our deductions and the actual facts of the case are in direct contradiction to each other. Well, maybe true astronauts never actually boarded the rocket. This footage could be fake, taken with body doubles after the incident or something. On second thought, that's too far-fetched even for me. Never actually boarded the rocket. Hey, wait a minute. Maybe, just maybe. Huh? Prosecutor Blackwell, what if I told you that the two astronauts never set foot inside the launch pad area, but instead went into another place? And what if, when the director moved Launch Pad 1 back, it was not from the launch site, but from another place? What would you say then? Cut the existential bull, or I'll cut you. Mr. Wright, you'll explain yourself at once. I know I'm right. It was all the other way around from the beginning. Very well, Your Honor, let me explain. Director Cosmos' reason for moving Launchpad 1 was to hide it, to switch it with another place, to trap the true killer. The heckin' Borkus? Okay, so they never ordered the rocket. Two astronauts went into the gift shop, let's say. And then they moved it back. But was the reason for... Okay, so the reason for moving Launchpad 1. You could trap the true killer by keeping them from going into a, I don't know, switch it with another place to hide it. I want to say it's to switch it with another place, because the thing is, he was saying, I mean, Cosmos was surprised when he was looking at the door. So the door went somewhere, but it wasn't going where he thought it should have been going. That's my guess. I don't need to hit save here because of quality of life features, but I'm going to do it anyway. Because he wanted to switch it with some other place. Oh, I'm sorry, but did you say switch it? But what could he possibly have switched the launch pad with? Oh, you'd be surprised, Your Honor. All it takes is a little thinking outside the box, and the answer becomes clear as day. This is what was switched with Launchpad 1. The Space Museum!
Take that!
Launchpad 1 was switched with the Space Museum? In the past, the Space Museum used to be Launchpad 2. It has all the same features as Launchpad 1 and can even be moved to the launch site. Meaning the Space Museum and Launchpad 1 can also be switched with each other. You can't mean... The rocket the astronauts boarded was not the one on Launchpad 1. It was the one in the Space Museum. What? Balderdash. And yet, it's the only explanation that accounts for every riddle and inconsistency. This is how the Space Center was. Oof. Hydration moment. This is how the Space Center was just before the incident. I see Launchpad 1 and the Space Museum have already switched places. That's right. And with the two switched like this, the astronauts entered the Space Museum from boarding lounge 1. This allowed the true killer to enter Launchpad 1 from Boarding Lounge 2 and set the bomb on the rocket. Come to think of it, the door to the Space Museum from Boarding Lounge 2. Welcome, welcome. The Space Museum is open to the public every day of the year from 9 AM to 7 PM. Exactly. Anyone can pass through the door to the Space Museum. There is no fingerprint recognition system on that door. In other words, with the two launch pads switched like that, someone other than Mr. Starbuck could have easily planted that bomb. Again, nobody noticed the entire Space Center being turned around. From the outside, you know. Anyway, someone other than Mr. Starbuck could have easily planted that bomb. After setting the bomb on the rocket, the culprit snuck into Boarding Lounge 1 and waited there concealed. In order to kill Mr. Terran when the two astronauts emerged from the Space Museum. Recall that Ms. Blackwell, Mr. Starbuck, and the director all saw a suspicious figure, who we can suppose, after killing Mr. Terran, made their escape into the Space Museum. After that, Director Cosmo switched the two launch pads back, without realizing the killer was inside the Space Museum. Well, heck. The killer then left the Space Museum and made a clean getaway. Ah! Right, Dunno, I see you know how to handle a sword and handle it well. Perhaps I should call you Swordmaster Bluff. I'm a seasoned warrior who has cut down many a prosecutor.
Silence!
But unless you can prove your theory, it's no better than a rusty sword. That's right. You have no proof I switched the launch pads. Somebody needs a better anger management counselor. If launch pads really were switched, there might be a record of it somewhere. You know, it's a big, visible thing to happen to the build. At this point, launch pad 1 and the Space Museum are switched with each other. So, corridor beyond the door should be the one that belongs to the Space Museum. Where's the smoke? Yeah, if everything was bark, 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 where's the smoke? The impassable smoke that no one was able to get through because smoke is a solid object. Let's see. There's an image of the Launchpad 1 corridor. See the one on the floor. Do you see anything different when we compare it to security footage? Huh? That number on the floor. Well, what do you know? It looks like we have proof after all, Prosecutor Blackwell. And if this is just another bluff... Hold on, did we actually see the two on that... Bark, bark, bark. We do see the two. Huh. What do you know? If this is just another bluff... Oh, don't worry, it's all right here. Right in this footage. Proof that beyond this door is the corridor to the Space Museum. Very well then. Answer this for me if you would. What in this footage proves that the corridor belongs to the Space Museum? The two.
Take that!
There's a 1 on the floor of the Launchpad 1 corridor. But take a look at the floor of the corridor in the security footage. Do you see the number behind the astronauts? It doesn't look like a 1, does it? That's because what you see is actually part of a 2. What? Why is it a 2 and not a 1? That's because the corridor you see is the one to the Space Museum. Ah. So that means... corridor in this footage was not filled with smoke, which we again bark, bark, bark. And that's right, because the explosion didn't occur in the Space Museum. The explosion occurred in Launchpad 1 on the side opposite the Space Museum, and everybody who was evacuating the building would have recognized it was on the other side And not that side. It was actually on the other side because bark, 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 bark. There were police here. And now that we know that the two astronauts escaped from the Space Museum, the mystery from the previous trial of how they got on the ladder is cleared up. Mr. Terran, carrying Mr. Starbuck, simply took the elevator from the upper level down to the middle level. Just incredible. The two launch pads were actually switched. But you'd think someone would have noticed an event of this magnitude? Everyone was down in the basement shelter when the launch pads were swapped back. There's no way anyone could have known what was happening on the surface. But people could have noticed the direction of the explosion. Someone was on the side of the Space Museum, felt the kaboom on that side. Anyone could have said bark, bark, bark. Well, info update. Okay. That sure is. Bye-bye. No more lies, Director Cosmos. It's high time you told us the truth. Gah. My honor, my glory, everything is slipping away. Time to deploy my ultimate weapon. Galactic engine, ignition. What? It's gone haywire. It won't stop. My stars, my glory. No, not that way. Okay. But bailiff, on your steed and after that witness. I see we managed to retrieve you before you came to any bodily harm. Director Cosmos, do you admit you switched the launch pads? I admit it's true. I switched Launchpad 1 for the Space Museum. Oh, it is good to hear words I can believe for a change. Before you do, Your Honor, two things. First, we don't know if Mr. Terran had prior knowledge of the switch. As for Mr. Starbuck, he was unaware of his surroundings thanks to his medication. Either way, Mr. Terran would have realized the instant he stepped into the Space Museum that it had been switched with Launchpad 1. So my first question is, if the Space Museum was perfectly fine, why did Mr. Terran feel the need to put on such a dramatic display? As for my second question, I'd like Director Cosmos to tell us why he switched the two launch pads to begin with. Please, I can't. I exercise my right to remain silent. But I will say, my hands were tied. I was only doing what I could to keep my men from getting caught in that blast. The director's terrified. He must have one heck of a reason for not wanting to explain why. Probably not a good time to try to pry it out of him, huh? Excuse me, but would you mind if I picked up my stars? Without my badge of rank, I'm nothing. I don't see why not. Bailiff, help the director retrieve his stars. It appears the possibility of a culprit other than the defendant has presented itself. Mr. Starbuck, is there anything you wish to say? I don't get it. Don't get it. What don't you get? Director, why did you do all that? From the very beginning, you never meant for the launch to go ahead, did you? You tricked us. Mr. Starbuck. Starbuck, my boy, I'm sorry. I can't tell you the reason why, but I had to do it to protect the Space Center. Director, will I ever get the chance to go into space again? Yes, of course. I won't rest until it happens. Okay, so the lady on the right is presumably the one that Athena knows or recognizes, and we need to figure out the histories of. Not through cheating, but you know. I will get you into space again, my boy. Then the dream. Sorry. Then the dream is still alive.
Silence!
You're not going into space, Starbuck, but prison. I won't have it any other way. Why are you so hung up on him? Yes, I accept that the launch pads really were switched, and if there were a third person at the scene, I suppose they could have escaped, but I've yet to see proof of this third person's escape via the Space Museum. Oh, well, that's a good point. He's right. I don't have any proof. Starbuck, you will spill everything you know. What? Me? Where did you get those bombs? Tell me now. If you don't, my blade shall feast on your blood. If I'm gonna die, I want to die in space. I have to do something. Solomon Starbuck, prepare yourself. Now, you know violence isn't the answer, Prosecutor Blackwell. That annoyingly cheerful laugh can be none other than... Champion of righteousness, Bobby Fulbright here. In justice we trust. Detective Fulbright? Sorry to keep you waiting, Mr. Lawyer. I hope I'm not too late. I don't believe we had an appointment. I tried to hurry, but I ended up helping a little old lady cross the street. And then I had to break up a catfight. I tell you, justice sure is a full-time job. Was it a fight between cats, or... why are you here again? Because the defendant isn't the culprit, and I came to make sure that justice is served. I don't have any idea what you're talking about. Fulbright. I always thought you were a bit touched in the head. But have you finally succumbed? Nope, but it looks like you've succumbed to this phantom of yours. Open your eyes and let the evidence of justice uncloud your judgment. What evidence? Come think of it, he did say something about finding us some evidence. Thanks, you two. I feel a lot better now that I've been able to get that off my chest. I'm going to work extra hard to find that perfect piece of evidence for you. I didn't think he was serious, though. So, what is it, Detective? Is it something that will prove Mr. Starbuck innocent? It is indeed. Have a look at this. What's this? A lighter? The Earth lighter that we were told about. That's right. A lighter thought to have been used by the culprit, no less. The Space Museum's cleaning robot picked it up. It has the victim Clay Terran's blood, along with his killer's fingerprint on it. What? Yeah. Wow. Order. Order. Detective Fulbright, can I assume the fingerprints don't belong to the defendant? You bet. Mr. Starbuck is totally innocent. This is it. This is just what I needed. Lighter added to the court record. The lighter found on the floor of the Space Museum. The true culprit's fingerprints are on it, in the victim's blood. Oh, heck, fluids. You're wrong. This is decisive evidence that supports the defense's earlier claim. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright. With pleasure, Your Honor. Okay, hold on. I need to get actual rehydration. My thing is mostly empty. I'm only getting ice melt. 1 second here. Wow. I hope y'all are doing well tonight anyway. Alright, let's see here. Beverage pouring stream. Woo. Okay, alright. Alright, okay. Alright. We live. With pleasure, Your Honor. Recall where this lighter was found. Based on that, we can extrapolate that after the killer murdered Mr. Terran, they escaped with lighter in hand into the Space Museum, where they dropped it. The switching of the 2 launch pads occurred. Then finally, the killer left through boarding lounge 2 and made their escape. Meanwhile, Mr. Starbuck was found in boarding lounge 1 after the murder. A fact that Director Cosmos has testified to. Therefore, Mr. Starbuck couldn't have possibly been the one to drop the lighter there.
Silence!
But the defendant had free reign of the area until Director Cosmos appeared. Could he not have dropped the lighter in the Space Museum during that span of time?
Objection!
You'd like that to be true, wouldn't you? But Director Cosmos testified that right after he saw that mysterious figure with a lighter, he went into the lounge and found the unconscious Mr. Starbuck. In other words, Mr. Starbuck wouldn't have had the time to double back to the museum. No, Prosecutor Blackwell, this lighter could only have been dropped by the real killer. Most importantly, Mr. Starbuck's fingerprints were nowhere to be found on this lighter. I think you'll understand what this means, don't you? This piece of evidence unequivocally proves that Mr. Starbuck wasn't the culprit. Gah. Going in awful hard without actually knowing whose fingerprints are on that. This does indeed appear to be decisive evidence that proves the defense's claims. As for the remote switch that was found in Mr. Starbuck's pocket, we can assume it was planted by the killer on the unconscious Mr. Starbuck. No, there must be some mistake. Frankly, Prosecutor Blackwell, I've been worried about you. You've been chasing this phantom for 7 whole years. I understand your urgency because tomorrow...
Silence!
Statute of limitations. Fulbright, you promised never to speak of that. Huh? Tomorrow? What about tomorrow? Given the body of evidence, I think it's safe to say the defendant is innocent, in light of the fact that it was impossible for him to have committed the crime. A few unanswered questions remain, so I look forward to seeing what you two uncover. But for now, this court finds the defendant, Solomon Starbuck, not guilty. Oh, wow. Does that mean we actually get a separate case for trying the other guy, or do we not? Well, there is no other guy we know of yet. Yes, we did him, Miss Wright. Looks like we pulled it off somehow, huh? With some help from Detective Fulbright. Mr. Wright, Ms. Sachs, thank you. And please thank Apollo for me, too. You all are the best. Ooh, I wish we could tell Apollo about Mr. Starbuck's verdict right now. Yeah, me too, but that's gonna have to wait. Now that a verdict has been reached, I'd like to bring today's trial to a close. Court is adjourned.
Objection!
Meh. It's too late to object, isn't it? It simply isn't possible. Something's wrong. Well, Prosecutor Blackwell, are you dissatisfied with the verdict? Fulbright, what were the results of the fingerprint analysis for the lighter? Huh? The results! Well, I was in a hurry, you see, and then there was that catfight, and, well, I kinda got carried away when I heard the prints weren't Mr. Starbuck's, so you have yet to read it. Prosecutor Blackwell, can you read out who the prints belong to? Upon thorough analysis of the fingerprints were found to belong to Athena Sykes. Dum-ba-bam! So says the report. What? What? Huh? May? Going in hard before knowing who they were. Order, I say, order. Ms. Sykes, tell me you have an explanation for this. We just finished proving that this letter could only belong to the killer. So finding your prints on it can only lead us to one grave conclusion. I don't know how they got on there, but I know I'm not the culprit. This can't be happening. We built up our argument piece by piece, and I don't think any of our reasoning was faulty. So how could it have led to this? Letter updated in the court record. Evidence found by Detective Fulbright. It has Athena's prints on it, in the victim's blood. Gah! What have I done? Please forgive me. I'm sorry. Order. Order. Detective Fulbright, stop your crying. What in the world is happening here? It's like the world's gotten mad. Order. Order. I will have order. Confusion spiraled into utter chaos. After all we'd fought for, the truth had turned cruelly on us to accuse Athena of the crimes. Somewhere, somehow, everything had gone terribly wrong. We had stumbled over the edge of reason and into the jaws of a twisted darkness. So doomed. End. They end it. Amazing. All right. Cosmic Turnabout awarded. Save your current progress? Yes. Okay. 22 minutes is an awkward amount of time, but I think we have enough time to start the next one. Oh, we're still going. Ooh, heck. Turnabout for tomorrow. Yeah. Episode 5, Turnabout for tomorrow. No one can escape their past. Uh-huh. Learn about her actual past now, the one we keep being hinted at. The sins we've committed, and the sadness we've caused. No matter how far we run, our past remains, as ever-present as the moon in the sky. I don't know if that's a good choice for showing ever-presentness. The moon, the inconstant moon. It looms in wait for the day when we are forced to face it. But only in doing so can we truly make peace and move on in hope towards tomorrow. December 20, 1:23 p.m. Write Anything Agency. They took Athena from the courtroom straight to the station. She's probably being questioned at this very moment. After this past year, I took it for granted that those two would always be here. But now, Apollo has gone off on his own to seek his own truth. And my pursuit of the truth only ended up with Athena becoming the new suspect. Some boss I turned out to be. It's even quieter in here than usual. Oh, hold on. That's not right. It's even quieter in here than usual. Yeah, it seems so empty, too. I just don't get it, Daddy. All of your reasoning during the trial seemed perfectly solid. Yeah, and I still believe it was. At least, based on what we know. But now, Athena's the one who's being accused. During the trial from the bombing and murder that occurred at the Cosmos Space Center, the lighter used by the real culprit was found. This lighter proved the defendant, Solomon Starbuck, innocent. But Athena's prints were found on it instead. And she was subsequently arrested for the murder. But Athena couldn't have done it. It just doesn't make any sense. No, none of it does. I've been racking my brain, but I just can't figure it out. Ah, where is the flaw in my reasoning? What have I got wrong in this case? Falsified evidence? You know, Daddy, if Athena was here, she wouldn't just be sitting around thinking. She'd be out there doing something. You are going to defend Athena, right, Daddy? Of course I will. And thanks, Trucy. I needed that push. Trucy's right. The trial is tomorrow, and there's no time to waste. If I'm going to prove Athena's innocence, I'd better get out there and find some evidence. Off we go, then. We're on a hunt for evidence that'll prove Athena's innocence. Great. But before we go, I'd better tidy up the evidence I have on hand. Unnecessary evidence left at the office. Athena is probably still in the middle of being questioned. So Trucy's right. The thing to start with is talking to people at the Space Center. Okay, we still have the autopsy, Space Center diagram, knife, door lock, camera. Oh boy! Also, what do we have down for? Just talk to Space Center staff. Okay. Why is Judy on here? Anyway, both robots. To tell you that obviously one of them is going to be a suspect. Suspicious. December 20, Cosmos Space Center. Entrance. Director Cosmos, do you have a minute? Galactic Scooter, full speed ahead. I'll take that as a no. Director! He scooted away. His expression changed the instant he saw you, Daddy. Yeah, well, I dragged his name through the mud pretty good at the trial earlier today. Okay, boarding lounge. Oink. December 20, Cosmos Space Center. Boarding lounge. We were here only yesterday. Oh, hey. Mr. Starbuck. You've been released, huh? Yep, and I came straight. Oh, good egg, my poor throat. Reaching off puny human limits. Alright. Yep. And I came straight here. This is all thanks to you and your team, Mr. Wright. You give me a second chance to fly into space again. I can't thank you enough. Except... Oh, what's wrong? I thought he'd be happy to be acquitted. As I was coming out of the detention center, I saw Miss Sykes. He saw Athena? I was at a loss for words. I didn't know what to say to the poor girl. And then, you know what? She flashed a peace sign at me. Congratulations on your acquittal, she said. Now you can go back into space someday. Yeah, that sounds like Athena. I can just picture it. But I saw her eyes. They were red and swollen from crying. She's gotta be suffering. She must be so worried. Yet she went out of her way to be nice. Give me that big smile. She held back her own tears so she could give someone else a smile. That's so Athena. There's no question about it. That girl is innocent. Please, Mr. Wright, you have to make sure she goes free. And then they can put me in prison instead. I don't mind. We can't have that either, Mr. Starbuck. Don't worry, Mr. Starbuck. I'm going to give her the very best defense I can. I promise to get her acquitted, just like I did for you. I know she'll be all right with you in her corner. I know you'll never give up on her. Apollo has a fine boss to look up to. Alright, tell me about the murder. I still can't believe Launchpad 1 was switched with the Space Museum. What could have made Director Cosmos do such a thing? I haven't the foggiest idea. So there never was going to be a launch that day. Not from the very beginning. I wonder if Clay knew. I imagine he must have. Surely he would have noticed when you went aboard the rocket. It's pathetic to think I was the only one who got taken in. But I guess that's about how it goes when you're worth less than space debris. Is he gonna be alright, Daddy? His expression looks as dark as a black hole. Well, that's just how he is. He is undergoing trauma. Mike. The murderer. Mr. Starbuck, do you remember anything about the murderer? Not really. I only saw a shadowy figure in the dark after all. Yeah, I guess that was a little too much to hope for. Hey, I heard something from the police, though. They said they never did find a 10 caliber gun down that trash chute. Just as I thought. The culprit must have carried it away with them when they escaped. So, was the person you saw holding a gun, Mr. Starbuck? I couldn't really tell. But it wasn't Athena, right? Could you tell if the person was male or female? Tall or short? I can't even tell you that much. Man, I'm useless. When the culprit opened the door and some light came in, I should have been able to see. The door? Ah, yes. As I recall, they opened this door here as they made their escape. Door to launch pad 1. The door... Still thinking about Athena. The door to launch pad 1, right? Yeah. Except right now, the door leads to the Space Museum. You mean the launch pad and the Space Museum are switched right now? Yeah, they're trying to investigate the theory you came up with in court. So they're recreating the conditions, huh? I'd like to see what's beyond that door now. Mr. Starbuck, could you open this door for us? Sure. Just let me have my grid scanned here. 2. Switching the launch pads. Do the launch pads get switched back and forth a lot? Well, back when the Space Museum was launch pad 2, they used to switch pads around at times. But these days, launch pad 2 is only used as a tourist attraction, right? Right. Because, quite frankly, Space Center needs the money. I hear you. Times sure are tough. Daddy, let's go check out what's beyond that door. Sure, let's go. Hey, why don't I come along? I can show you around. Ho ho! Tanuki leaves! Huh? I wonder what these dead leaves are doing here. Maybe they were stuck to the bottom of somebody's shoes. There are lots and lots of trees around the Space Center. She's right. It's a modern state-of-the-art building, but it's surrounded by trees. But I don't know. If they were stuck to the bottom of somebody's shoes, wouldn't they look more crushed up? These don't look like they've been stepped on. Maybe there's some kind of secret hatch in the corridor, and they came in that way? Not everything is set up like a magician's stage, you know? Doing actual examining, that never happens. So this is another one of those devices for opening the door, huh? Yep. But this one doesn't require fingerprint verification. You just hit the button and open sesame. So when you and Clay went through here, you didn't need to show your prints either? That's right, Trucy. Just like how the culprit didn't need to scan their prints. When they escaped back out of the Space Museum corridor and the boarding lounge, too. Launchpad 1 door lock updated in the court record. The biometric door lock, print authentication isn't required from the Launchpad side. Well, I don't see anything else that jumps out at me. And I imagine this corridor is built exactly like the Launchpad 1 corridor. Alright, more to talk about? No. We can move. No. I think we need to continue talking to people. We could, but I think before we figure that out, we better just take our opportunity to, end for the day. Because of time reasons.